haven't done this for a very long time, so I have to re-sow my teacher oats. But I like to teach, so I'm happy to be here. I was actually pretty excited about this lesson. I was supposed to teach last week, but my husband and I were out of town, and so I made the other teachers promise that they wouldn't take my lesson, that we would just trade. And the reason that I wanted to do that is because most of the time when you teach a lesson, you're the one that learns the most, right? And when I saw what this lesson was, I said, well, I have already learned the most. And so I felt really like I wanted to teach this lesson because I could stand up here and bear testimony to you of the principles that we're going to talk about today. And I didn't just learn them in the last week or so when I've been preparing this lesson. For some reason, the good Lord has seen fit to teach me the value of work. And so I want to share that with you today. So I'm actually pretty excited to do this. I need to start by telling you a little bit about my husband and I in the last few years, because this applies specifically to what we're talking about today. My husband has owned a medical billing service. We bill out-of-state Medicaid claims, not that that means anything to anybody, for hospitals. And he's owned this business for longer than I've known him. And after we got married, he wanted me to come and work with him. And I said, what are you, nuts? I would rather be married to you than work with you. And just so you know, my husband has hired and fired every member of the family more than once in this period of time. And I said, I'm not going to give you the pleasure of firing me. So, I refuse to work with you. So I had my own thing going, and I got laid off over and over. I'm like the queen of layoffs. And it got to a certain point in our lives a few years back. We lived in Diamond Bar at the time, when Ralph wanted to find a place where we could build a home that we would sort of intend to retire in. And I said, okay. So we went looking, and long story short, we found Whidbey Island up in the Puget Sound. Some of you might be familiar. It's in Seattle. We were in the Everett Stake, actually, if you're familiar with that area. Beautiful place. And we got all excited about Whidbey Island. Of course, I asked the obvious question, what will we do with this business? Are we going to move it to Washington or leave it behind? And Ralph chose to leave it behind and said, with today's technology, we can manage this thing from anywhere. And I said, okay. And off we went to Whidbey Island. And the plan, as soon as we got there, was that 1 week out of every month, we would come here, and then he would be a presence in the office. And we had an office manager, and he managed the business from afar. And I went to lunch with my girlfriends, as it should be, because I still refuse to work for him. So as time went on, I would go in the office and do occasional things, and I tried really hard just to stay out of it. I didn't want to be the evil wife, that thing. Anyway. So, I would go in and I'd see these stacks of work around the office, and I'd be like, what is that? And he would say, that's a stack of work. And it would be there month after month. And this work wasn't getting done. And anyway, we started to build this home. We bought a beautiful piece of waterfront property and started to design and build this home that we wanted to live in for the eternities. And things started to get worse at work, and we started staying longer, and so we would stay for 2 weeks and then go back, and I would do a few things here and there, but I refused to do anything. And long story short, over the years, we got to the point where we were spending 6 weeks here and 2 weeks there. And when we stayed here, we stayed with Ralph's mother, who lives out in the Banning, Beaumont area. And our office is in La Habra. I'll help you do the math. It's 66 miles. And so we got up at 3:30 in the morning and left at 5 and went to La Habra and worked until 7 or 7:30 at night and got home at 8:30 or 8 o'clock or whatever. And went to bed at 10 o'clock and got up the next day at 3:30. And I think about that now, and I don't know how that happened. But we did that for 3 years. And after 6 weeks, we would drive 1,500 miles home and and do our thing there for 2 weeks, and then drive 1,500 miles back. And we never had a car accident. Nothing. I mean, it was just a miracle. The good Lord blessed us in so many countless ways that enabled us to do that. Well, in the interim, of course, I got snookered into working. And I hid in a back office and did some work, and as time went on, I got more and more and more and more. And now, we started off with about, when we moved to that office, maybe there were 12 or 15 employees. And now there's 30 of us, and half of them report to me. And so I'm like there now, and you know, I'm going to share parts of this story with you, I'm sure, over time, but some pretty miraculous things occurred. Number one, I'm still married to my husband. That's a pretty big miracle. If you can imagine doing that, and I could not imagine doing that, we actually became closer when we spent 24 hours a day together, in the car, everywhere. And I have the sweetest mother-in-law on the planet Earth, let me tell you. But those are stories for another day. We built that home and kind of moved into it. For 3 years, we called that home. And when the bank decided to take it away from us, we moved back to Southern California, where we're from, which was 1.5 years ago. We moved here shortly thereafter in July, and I was really, really afraid, because for 3 years I really did have the luxury of doing nothing but working. I didn't have to cook a meal, I didn't have to do anything. I did the laundry, but you know, that was it. And when we came here, I was very, very afraid, because now I would have to do all those things and continue to work 13-hour days, 6 days a week. So I was pretty overwhelmed. And as I indicated to you a couple weeks ago, I sat in the corner and minded my own business. Very intentional. Because I really can't take any more on. But that's a different story for another day. So, while we were staying at my mother-in-law's house, I would call my mother every week, and she was in Salt Lake, and tell her what, to me, was a pretty heartbreaking story. And she would say to me, "The Lord must be preparing you for something special." And I said, "Thanks, Mom. I don't want to know what that is, because I'm kind of up to here with this, and I don't want to know what the good Lord's preparing me for." And as I should bring a little closure to the story and get on to the meat of this thing. As I knew in my heart of hearts, basically at the very time we moved back here, we were in a position finally to have made the payments on that house. So we saved the business just in the nick of time to lose our dream house. And now I'm in a rental that's about a block from the dump. So, just so you know. But, that is neither here nor there. Today's lesson is about work. I have never had a problem with work. When I was a kid, and I didn't have anything to do, I found something to clean. My sister thought I was berserk, but I found something to clean. I've never had a problem with work. And so I think that I was born with kind of that gift of enjoying work or having a willingness to do work. Work is an eternal principle. And you can take that 2 ways, okay? Work is an eternal principle because the Lord sent us here to work.